weren't thinking of doing anything with your vehicle, maybe you hadn't even thought about downgrading or changing it to something more economical, because let's be honest, every time you go to the petrol station now, we all just look the other way. We cringe a little bit every time we fill up the car. So the fuel price is accelerating out of control at the moment. So is there a way for you to do something with your vehicle? It's not as easy as it sounds, but I imagine, George Mienie, Autotrader CEO, morning, a lot of people have been jumping on your website going, okay, it's time to get rid of that big diesel guzzling 4x4. I'm going to buy something economical. Your website must be jumping at the moment, George. Morning.
Morning, Gareth. Thank you for having me. Yes, it is. So I think that the reality is, used car searches, we find used car searches are buoyant whenever there's economic pressure, and consumers tend to downgrade, although we're not seeing that in our search behavior. We had a look at consumers searching for cars up to 300,000 Rand, and searches have actually declined by 11.5%, whereas searches for cars between 300,000 and 600,000 Rand have increased marginally by 0.5%, and then searches for cars over 600,000 Rand have increased by 6.2%. So, wow. So there's definitely not an effect from the fuel price just yet, it could be all the other economic pressures that are causing used cars to be really buoyant.
Possibly, because we also know that new car sales are down at the moment. Obviously, there's a massive market for the second-hand vehicle side of things. I'm fascinated. I'd like your thoughts on this, George, because I wouldn't have thought, based on the increased cost of living for everybody, regardless of what LSM you're in, if you start looking at cars over 600,000 Rand, you're doing okay.
Yeah, I mean, Gareth, I think the reality is that the income divide, or the gap between the haves and the have-nots, is really prevalent in these numbers. People with money are not stopping. They're continuing to buy cars, both new and used, and it's the middle class that's really under pressure.
Yeah. Also, the vehicles 300,000 and below as well. What do you think that could be? That, I suppose, could be that income bracket where even if they wanted to trade in, they wouldn't have the financial backing to actually trade in or trade down, even for a cheaper car at the moment. It's exactly. Not even just the fuel price. There's no money to do the trading. That's what I'm hearing.
Yes, there's no money to do the trading. Although on the 300,000 Rand and below category, we have seen an increase in conversion. So while searches are down, there's an increase in the conversion into a sale. So there's likely less people even trying to search. They realize the reality of the economic situation and they're not searching. And those that are know that they'll be able to buy a car. So we've seen a marginal 1.7% increase in used cars sold in that category. The other two categories obviously are a lot higher. 300 to 600,000 Rand, there's been an 11% increase in conversion in terms of cars sold, and 600,000 Rand and above, a 15% increase in conversion in number of used cars sold.
Well, that's obviously good news for your line of work, because browsing is one thing, but you want the conversions in the end. That's that market that's coming in going, I'm finding a car, I'm not getting off Autotrader until I find the vehicle that I want, and they're doing it. What are the kind of cars people are looking for? Because you've been a regular guest of ours on E&CA Drive whenever we talk about the end of the year and the new market and the new vehicle numbers and second-hand vehicle numbers. What are the kinds of vehicles people are looking for? Because you and I did a big focus on World Hybrid Day. Are we moving towards the hybrid and the full electrics these days, do you think?
Yeah, so the kinds of vehicles that consumers are searching for are still largely the same. It's the VW Polo, SUVs, as well as the Toyota Hilux and Ford Ranger. So that's where most of the vehicle searches exist, and that hasn't changed very much. And it doesn't change from month to month or year to year. The vehicles in the third, fourth, and fifth category sometimes switch places, but those are those start to be be your more high-end cars like the Mercedes-Benz or the BMWs. So at the volume category, at the number one and number two, usually it's a VW Polo, Toyota Hilux, and the Ford Ranger. So that hasn't changed very much. But in terms of moving to new energy vehicles, we're still seeing a doubling of search interest in battery electric vehicles and an even higher number of searches for hybrid vehicles, whether that be soft hybrid or plug-in hybrids. So there's definite appetite for consumers to get into those more fuel-efficient cars, which speaks directly to the fuel price increase that you guys are unpacking today.
Yeah, you're going to have to explain to the idiot that I am a soft hybrid and a plug-in hybrid. I get the plug-in hybrid because I want to ask you, as you answer that, George, if you don't mind, I would imagine it's quite a risky move to be buying a hybrid or a full electric, even if you had the money to do it right now, because of the blackout. So now you've got to add that into our discussion as well, don't you?
Well, not for the plug-in hybrid or the soft hybrid. So a soft hybrid at a very high level is a hybrid vehicle that you don't charge by plugging the car in at your home or at a DC fast charger. The car actually charges itself using an internal combustion engine vehicle. So effectively, it's driven by an electric drivetrain, but there's a petrol engine driving and charging the battery. You get a lot more fuel efficiency that way. And the Toyota Cross is an example. When Toyota brought out that Toyota Cross last year, we saw the searches for hybrids, soft hybrids, shoot through the sky. So consumers are definitely gaining an appetite for these more fuel-efficient, greener cars.
And as I say goodbye, the problem is the trade-off, I imagine, with these more fuel-efficient, greener cars, as you very rightly put it, is they do come at a premium as well. They're not the mainstays. So you almost then have that argument, don't you? How much are you going to save on fuel with these greener, full electric, hybrid cars versus what you'd actually pay in fuel over a 5-year period? I remember you and I spoke about this. I was trying to work out the maths. I couldn't do it.
So that's exactly right, Gareth. We call it the Trinity, and the Trinity is the price point of a new energy vehicle car, which is either battery electric or plug-in hybrid or soft hybrid, has to be under 500,000 Rand, probably under 400,000 Rand in order to reach a scale, in order to reach mass adoption in the country. The second thing is education around range, and the third thing is charging infrastructure. So that's our Trinity. Those are the three things we need to solve in this country in order to get that category of vehicle really flying and off the ground.
And just as I say goodbye to you, I want to circle back to your website again for a second, because you have a lot of filters that you can put in, whether it's color and the drivetrain, etc., etc. I'm wondering, are people looking for certain size engines? Are they looking for the smaller? I want to go for, I imagine, the 1.6, the 1.8, maybe a 2-litre. Are you able to look at a metric like that and go, yes, that's where people are going? The smaller engine, the more efficient, the better. As I say goodbye, George.
Definitely on the new car side, the Suzuki Swift is flying off the shelf. The Cherry is flying off the shelf. So there's definitely signs that consumers are looking for more fuel efficient, lighter, smaller engined vehicles.
George Mienie, Autotrader CEO, always great to talk to you. Wonderful data. He's able to pick that apart and make sense of why we are doing what we're doing. George, as always, thanks very much indeed. It's 29 after 8.